Well, I heard him before I ever saw him. He came to Centinela Hospital in 1983, and Dr. Clarence Shields brought him up to the ward. We were on 6 East End, and I heard his booming laugh coming off the elevator. First of all, I'm thinking, who laughs in a hospital? And around the corner he came with a big smile and just that robust walk, and I never really realized how much he changed my life and the life of many other people, not patients, but his staff and his colleagues, with the presence of a man that he was. Anyway, we said, hang on, we're going for a ride. And there was Dr. Dorr. When Dr. Dorr came to the ward to check on his patients, he always wanted a nurse to make rounds with him. And he was a taskmaster. You had to know everything about the patient, the hemoglobin, hematocrit, how far they walked, what the drain put out, and he was very intimidating. And most of the nurses, when they saw him come to the ward, they skedaddled. They didn't want to be the ones to make the rounds and have to answer all the questions. But I caught on to that fast. And so in the morning when I came to work and I made rounds, I would listen to the report on all of his patients. So I had all these little scratchy notes about what every patient did. And then when he made rounds, if I went with him, which I usually did, I was the youngest nurse, and like they were throwing me to the wolves. I knew all the answers, and I think after a little while he thought, man, she's really smart, and he'd come looking for me to make rounds with him even on the days that I wasn't at the hospital. One funny story I remember about Dr. Dorr is he always had this thing, for women he called it the lipstick sign. And for a man, he had to be shaved because that showed Dr. Dorr that the patient was feeling better. Those are things that people do when they start to feel good again. And I remember this was back in the days when people were in the hospital for a week or 10 days in the very beginning. So I was in a room with another nurse whose Dr. Dorr's patient, who practically coded. The patient just had this episode, and so everybody was in there, and the code team had just left because the patient got stabilized. I was next to the patient adjusting his oxygen cannula. The room was in utter disarray. There were IVs, papers, tubes, everything all over the room. I had one nurse in there cleaning up, and the nurse that was assigned to the patient, she was doing some charting. And all of a sudden I look up and Dr. Dorr's in the doorway, and he looks at me and he says, Jerry, why is this man not shaved? And we just cracked up. Even the patient started laughing. It was just so ludicrous and funny. He was looking for that shave sign. Dr. Dorr really did love his patients. It was evident in the way he took care of them and how he stood by them. Once he operated on you, you were a part of his family. And if he was busy, he always made sure that someone on the team would see to whatever you needed. I could always count on getting a message from him that was challenging. Find me a doctor in Egypt that can transplant a toe onto a gallbladder and make sure he won't charge the patient. Or get me a helicopter to fly me to some remote village in Guatemala in an hour. I didn't even know if they had helicopters in Guatemala, but he could always rely on me to figure it out. Over the years, the challenges got harder. I remember getting a patient off a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean after she fractured her hip, and getting skiers off mountains and back to Los Angeles after taking spills that wrecked their hip. He could always fix them up again. I think he was just trying to test me to see if he could find something I couldn't do. And man, could that guy laugh. He was extra funny when he told jokes. He really got into it. I think he told the Giuseppe and Maria joke at the Christmas party for about 8 years in a row. Who can forget him saying, after he told us that Maria, on their wedding night, discovered that Giuseppe had half of one foot amputated. Mama, he's only got a foot and a half. And Mama saying, look out, Maria, this is a job for Mama. What made me laugh the hardest was his accent. Did you know he was fluent in Italian and Spanish? Yep, he just added an O or an A to the end of every word, and there you go. He could also laugh at himself. We made videos every year for him that poked good-natured fun at him. Who can forget the yellow towel, the result of his post-daily exercise routine from the workout room to his office, or the big SUV we had where the whole staff got out of the back seat like clowns out of a VW. We loved it that he had that car. He was such a rock star in it. We made up some rap songs for him, wore bling in his honor, and Kyle and Sam even anointed him Heavy D. And how endearing it was that he'd walk across the parking lot to the hospital and hitch his pants up, way up. All of these funny moments were immortalized in the annual Christmas video and poem I wrote for him. It was something he always looked forward to. He loved his family. I remember the first time I met Marilyn. She was such a gracious lady, beautiful, kind, and thoughtful. In fact, the few times Dr. Dorr made me mad enough to quit, I couldn't do it because I didn't want to make more work for Marilyn or hurt her feelings. I was always jealous when his son Mike told me that they would go out Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve. What a dad! Who does that? It either showed his spontaneity or that he was a little bit crazy. He'd be the guy that would throw himself in the mosh pit. He loved his friends and would do anything for them, and they showed love for him by being the foundation of supporters for his research and Operation Walk. As busy as he was, he always carved out time to have fun with them. Vacations on the lake, golf, and dinners. He was a loyal friend to many. He introduced me to some of the best people in my life. The Dimensions program at Cornell sent 2 students on Operation Walk missions every year. Now they are doctors, PAs, nurses, veterinarians, and anesthesiologists. We felt like a proud parent as each student kept in touch with us, letting us know we inspired them to become medical professionals. He built a team at work, connecting me to Mary Ellen, Rudy, Jim, Mike, PJ, Nancy, Corinne, Felicia, Jennifer, Jen, and Dawn. His colleagues and partners, Dr. Long, Dr. Kumar, and Dr. Gilbert. His fellows, Dr. Bindleglass, Dr. Cohen, Karn, Mackel, Inaba, Ike, Prashant, Addie, and Jinjun. His loyal research partner, Dr. Zinian Wan. We are all family, joined by our love and service to Dr. Dorr. He also introduced me to thousands of patients, locally and internationally. He developed a strong work ethic in our team that we taught to others in the USA and internationally. When I retired last year, I looked through hundreds of cards and letters we received over the years. Yes, I save everything. And the common thread was how well people were taken care of. Many people that started out as patients became dear friends. That is a gift he has given me that sustains me through his loss. The comfort and kind words coming from those who hurt as much as I do have gotten me through this past year. Dr. Dorr was a pioneer in so many things. He started home visits before home health did. He put on community talks about arthritis and joint replacement before it came popular. He fought for outstanding patient care and the team concept. He knew what made sense, and he was a bulldog in getting things done and maintaining them. He was a rock star all over the world. He had some crazy ideas, but I learned you just had to go with it, as the ideas always worked out for the better. He had good gut instinct. He was a great teacher and mentor, a snappy dresser, and often in need of a haircut. He was his own man. Lastly, what breaks my heart the most is that when one of us was sick or had surgery, the other was a faithful supporter. We were both strong and nothing could keep us away from work for long. It almost got to the point where we silently dared one another on how fast we could get back to work. He'd come limping in a week after hip surgery, and I'd be sitting at my desk 6 days after the removal of a lung tumor. We'd look at each other as if we were crazy and then give a little thumbs up and a wink. Nothing could keep us down. When he became ill in November of 2020, I could not visit him in the hospital due to the pandemic. All I could think of is that he was wondering where I was. We emailed a bit, but like both of us, it was work-related. there was still so much to do. He was working on his book and getting opera walk to help Native Americans. I am forever grateful to Yoli for getting a cell phone to his ear on one of his last days so I could tell him how many people were praying for him and that I loved him and was grateful for all the opportunities he gave me. When I was a little girl and upset, my mom used to tell me, things will always look better in the morning. How many days over these dark months has she been proven wrong? I dream about him and awaken only to realize he isn't coming back, and I feel like we have lost him all over again. He's probably mad about that. Now we can celebrate his life. He touched so many people. He carved a broad path in life. How lucky we all are to have been in his orbit.